Hello everyone, I hope you're doing really well. It's the 1st of March 2025. I'm Gary Waterman, a former UK police constable of 18 years. And since 2022, I've acquired irrefutable, verifiable and corroborative evidence of decades-long international deceptive criminal fraud, okay, that has exploited and victimised billions of people for a very long time and deliberately facilitated the most awful crimes against humanity and in particular children. And I am blown away by what I'm uncovering on a daily basis. The deception is absolutely vast, and it appears now there are satanic elements behind this, which makes complete sense because the whole system that we've been living under is the complete opposite of moral conscience, okay, which is there to protect humanity. And it's deliberate that what they have been doing is imposing suffering upon humanity. Now, I was calling for an international strike and shutdown starting on the 15th of March. I actually now believe that it needs to start right now because it appears as though they are trying to control and time their own reset potentially around that date. And we need the innocents to be in control of what happens in this new earth, not a relatively small group of people that are clearly criminals. Okay, and the Freemasons are hugely behind this, and the evidence suggests that they have a satanic cult element at the top of this. So I urge you all now to literally start tomorrow. Okay, stop working, stop paying all bills, all taxes. You cannot comply to a fraudulent criminal system. You just can't do it both morally, ethically, and legally because you become aiding and abetting of the problem. Okay. I've now found out that not only is the DVLA implicated in this, okay, but this is just an example, but every insurance company that I've looked at now appears to be centralized to this system of crime and fraud. So you can't actually insure anything without being complicit, shall we say, in funding the suffering of humanity. So, we need to get a reaction from these people. They're ignoring it. So I urge you all, please get behind this ASAP. You need to get out there knocking on doors, showing the evidence, and this evidence that I'm going to show you now is no greater evidence of the deception, and that is in relation to Donald Trump and the Stargate project. So many of you are being deceived and fooled by Donald Trump at the moment. He is part of this, and I'm going to prove it to you in this video. So please get behind my evidence. Everything else is a distraction. All of these groups talking about other things. You've now got people trying to focus on councils having dissolved, but we're not focusing on the forgery. I mean, clearly that same group has blocked me. You need to focus on the forgery of the company's house records and the incorporation documents, clearly, okay? So I urge everybody to get behind this. Anyone that does not assist in exposing this, they cannot be trusted. It is the root cause of the world's problems, 100%. And I, without a shadow of a doubt, have been positioned here to try and help save humanity, and in particular save the children from this before it is too late. So please get behind this, everybody. Now, I urge those involved in this, I need the highest official possible to get in contact with me who is running this system of crime and fraud. I need to work with you so that we can resolve this peacefully on a transitional basis, okay? Because many people have been deceived, even possibly you, okay, by the satanic element in this, okay? I'm trying to save everybody, even those involved in this. So please, highest officials, get in contact with me so that we can speak about how we move forward. I don't want to keep saying to shut everything down, but you're not responding. You've had since 2022 to respond in the right way. And the only right way is to hold your hands up, surrender to moral conscience, and admit what you've been doing to humanity. Okay, that will then give us a starting point to move forward from there to save everybody in this. Let's look at the evidence surrounding Donald Trump and the Stargate project. Now, I received this message on Thursday. It's now Saturday, and this was from one of my contacts. I'm just going to explain the relevance of the 15th of March and how this is divine in relation to what is going on with it. So this was a message I received, and it says, right, don't shoot the messenger, but I think I've worked it out. What are all the links between Jesus Christ and Julius Caesar, and the links between Donald Trump and William Shakespeare? Freemasons. He was the first man to have the vaccine. I've always struggled to accept the name of Jesus Christ as our saviour due to the fact that we obviously live in a satanic pagan world. And this person is claiming that Shakespeare was the first person to have the vaccines, which is very significant in relation to all of this fraud that's going on and the timing of everything. Now, I chose the 15th of March because there was already another group that was calling for the 15th of March, okay, as a strike day or a shutdown. So, and it had about 10,000 members. So I jumped on the back of that and thought, okay, 10,000 people potentially already aware of it. I'll suggest that date as well. So I went with the 15th of March. Now, I suspect that was deliberately fed to me to make me choose the 15th of March, okay, because then you have this information, which I was not aware of. And it says the Idus of March is the day on the Roman calendar marked as the Idus, roughly the midpoint of the month, corresponding to the 15th of March on the Gregorian calendar. It was marked by several major religious observances. In 44 BC, it became notorious as the date of the assassination of Julius Caesar, which made the Idus of March a turning point in Roman history. So I think there's a collaboration to feed this information to me as part of a deceptive, apocalyptic link in relation to all of this, okay? Now, I had no idea about this, but this was also fed to me, okay? Again, I suspect all deliberate, a collaboration by the Freemasons to feed me information. And this says that the next blood moon will occur on the 14th of March, 2025, the day before the date that I've called for an international strike and shutdown. Now, this also links into the arrest of Julia Vandal, who I now think is part of the deception set up deliberately for my benefit as part of this international government fraud. Okay, and there's more information I'm going to go into about that. If you don't know who Julia Vandal is, she is the person that was claiming that she is Madeleine McCann, and she has been arrested recently. I suspect that is part of the deception for my benefit, all tying in with this international collaborative deception and crime against humanity, and to draw me into a false apocalyptic biblical event, probably so that I publicize it when actually it's all a deception. It's all a lie as part of this fraud, and these people are just completely lost. I mean, there's no other word for it. And here's another article in relation to blood moons, different religions and what they mean to them. So prominent interpretations of a red moon meaning. For Christianity, both the Old and New Testaments mention the blood moon. One of the references in the book to Joel ties it to the outpouring of the Holy Spirit. And it says the sun will be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day comes of the return of Jesus, or Yahweh. I never know if I'm pronouncing that. I do apologise. Further on, it says, in a similar manner, the book of Revelation describes a scene where the sun turns dark and the moon appears as blood. Underneath it says, from these verses, it makes sense why much of Christian theology connects the blood moon eclipse to the end of the world. Now, I suspect this is a new earth. It's not actually the end of the world, because, and I'll come into a lot more evidence about that. I think this is what we're talking about is such vast deception that these people can never be trusted. No international governments or their organisations can be trusted again, unfortunately, because of this. And at the very basis, we have a criminal, deceptive, fraudulent financial system. So that means everything else can't be trusted by them until they hold their hands up and they say the truth as to what they've been doing. In relation to Islam, it says in Islam, the blood moon eclipse signifies Judgment Day. For this reason, some Muslims offer special prayers during an eclipse. In Hindu theology connects the blood moon eclipse to a demon. Further down, in Western superstition, the blood moon eclipse associated with bad luck. Old stories from the British Isles warn against pointing at the moon during a blood moon because there are fears that it will attract misfortune. However, not all interpretations of blood moons are negative. In some cultures, it is even a symbol of fertility or incoming changes. As mentioned earlier, Native American tribes interpret the blood moon as a sign that the moon is wounded and needs healing. They would then sing to the moon in hopes of helping it heal. West African tribes, many other tribes believe the moon in the moon's power to control the earth. The school of thought affirms that the moon can alter the future any time to disrupt the Earth, and a blood moon eclipse occurs. The Buddhists also believe that anything done during a blood moon, good or bad, will be multiplied. So like the particular people, Buddhists tend to be careful and do good deeds during this time. Believers, since blood moons don't appear very often, it is a big deal to those who believe in it. Interestingly enough, the most recent occurred in November 2022, which ties in with something we're going to be talking about in a minute. Remember, all of this information could be deceptive against humanity, because this is what these people work under: deceit. So this is the evidence document in relation to Donald Trump and the Stargate project. I've just pasted the evidence into a document to make it easier to present to you. Please verify and corroborate this information if you want to see that it is true. I'm going to start by looking at artificial intelligence here, which is the Wikipedia entry for it. And it says, artificial intelligence refers to the capability of computational systems to perform tasks typically associated with human intelligence, such as learning, reasoning, problem-solving, perception, and decision-making. It is a field of research in computer science that develops and studies methods and software that enable machines to perceive their environment and use learning and intelligence to take actions that maximize their chances of achieving defined goals. Such machines may be called AIs. So in other words, an artificial way of decision making and putting that into action. Now that's all very well, unless the people creating it have no moral conscience, and the people creating it are the ones that have implemented a criminal, fraudulent, deceptive system that exploits and victimizes humanity and deliberately facilitates the most awful crimes against humanity, including children. So therefore, it is satanic, and artificial intelligence created by these people is a serious threat to humanity, in my view. Reading on, it says high-profile applications include AI include advanced web search engines like Google Search, recommendation systems used by YouTube, Amazon, Netflix, virtual assistants, e.g. Google Assistant, Siri, and Alexa, autonomous vehicles, e.g. Waymo, which will include obviously Tesla, and Elon Musk is linked to Tesla and heavily implicated in this. Includes generative and creative tools, e.g. ChatGPT, and AI art, and superhuman plan analysis. We're going to come to ChatGPT in a minute. I'm not going to read all of this. On the right, you can pause this and have a look at it, or just go and search yourself. That's just the same information there, and you can go and look at that yourself. Further down here, it says artificial intelligence was founded as an academic discipline in 1956. Now, the dates I've highlighted because they become very important in relation to this. Now, it was the late 50s, early 60s, where the evidence I have suggests that the real heirs to the throne were murdered in relation to all of this fraud that's going on. And there's going to be more evidence in relation to that. But reading on, it says, and the field went through multiple cycles of optimism throughout its history, followed by periods of disappointment and loss of funding known as AI winters. Funding and interest vastly increased after 2012, when deep learning outperformed previous artificial intelligence techniques. Now, 2012 is a very important year in relation to this, and I'm going to come into some more evidence in another document about that. But it is the year when supposedly they created the Higgs boson particle, or the God particle, at CERN, the Hadron Collider based in Switzerland, which is very, very important in relation to all of this. And that the symbol for CERN is 3 6s twisted in. It also links in then with the apocalyptic deceptions against humanity within that date, and I'm going to come to that another time. Reading on, it says the history of artificial intelligence. It says the study of mechanical or formal reasoning began with philosophers and mathematicians in antiquity, and it mentions Alan Turing's theory. And further down, it says they developed several areas of research that would become part of AI, such as the McCulloch and Pitts design for artificial neurons in 1943. Now, this ties in with MK Ultra, and obviously it ties in with the World War II era. Reading on it, and it says, and Turing's influential 1950 paper. Now, remember, I've said there's a satanic element in relation to all of this, and this is also referenced in this particular part of the research. It says researchers in the 1960s and the 1970s were convinced that their methods would eventually succeed to creating a machine with general intelligence and considered this the goal of their field. Now, within 1966 was the year, according to the research, of the first satanic church, okay, and then which was linked to Germany. And then in 1971, you had the creation of the World Economic Forum, which again is linked to Germany via Klaus Schwab, who was its chair. Reading down further here, it says in 1965, Herbert Simon predicted machines will be capable within 20 years of doing any work man can do. And 1965 is a very important date because it is when the Jordans and Sons Limited Company, which we're going to look at in a minute by chance, well, it's not chance, is one, and that was created and incorporated on Companies House, and is one of the most important companies in this international government fraud. Reading on, it then says in 1967, Marvin Minsky agreed, writing that within a generation, the problem of creating artificial intelligence will be substantially solved. 1967 is the date that the next most important company in relation to this fraud was created on Companies House, the London Law Agency, or London Law Agency in brackets, the. Between these two dates is when the first satanic church was created, 1966. ChatGPT. Reading further down, it says ChatGPT launched on November the 30th, 2022. What were we just talking about? That same date, the same time as the last blood moon. Okay. Now, ChatGPT is an artificial, obviously, based company. I'm going to look at it in a bit more detail in a minute. Now, remember, 2022 was when I was making the main inquiries within my company before I then escalated it into authorities through the reports at the end of 2022 into 2023. And Elon Musk went to a party, a Halloween party in 2022, wearing armor which had a Baphomet on the chest. Now, a Baphomet, if you don't know what it is, go and have a little look at it. But it's it links to transgenderism, and it also ties to the Freemasons via the Knights Templar. Okay, when you research it. Now, the Baphomet was a symbol of the Satanic Church. Okay. Reading on, it says, it was launched in November 30th, 2022. That's no coincidence. It became the fastest growing consumer software application in history, gaining over 100 million users in 2 months. It marked what is widely regarded as AI's breakthrough year, bringing it into the public's consciousness. Okay, remember, we've been talking about moral conscience, and we're going to come to it a bit more, actually, in a minute. These programs and others inspired an aggressive AI boom, where large companies began investing billions of dollars in AI research. According to AI Impacts, about $50 billion annually was invested in AI around 2022. The same year, remember, that I'm making inquiries. In the US alone, and about 20% of the new computer science PhD graduates have specialized in AI. About 800,000 AI-related US job openings existed in 2022. According to PitchBook Research, 22% of newly funded startups in 2024 claim to be AI companies. So what is intelligence? Bearing in mind this is called artificial intelligence. Intelligence is the ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills. An eminent man of great intelligence, as an example. It's the collection of information of military or political value. The chief of military intelligence, as another reference to it. Now, what's moral conscience, which is incredibly important in all of this? And I keep saying that we have come far from moral conscience and a rational state of mind. And I believe that has been given to us by our Creator to protect us all. So moral conscience is a part of the cognitive process in mind that tells whether an act is morally right or wrong. In other words, it is awareness of moral principles and whether an act is done in accordance with these principles or not. It is an instrument for self-control, correction and regulation. Now, artificial intelligence, created by organizations and people that appear to have no moral conscience because the system they have is criminal. Okay, so we know they're not valuing moral conscience, and therefore if they're creating artificial intelligence that will make decisions and actions based on their creation, then of course we are potentially leading to, if you want to call it, hell on earth, okay, through the removal of moral conscience. And we're going to come to that a bit more in a minute. There's some other information in relation to moral conscience. I'm not going to read it all. You can go and research it or read it yourself. This is where we come to messenger mRNA or mRNA. And that's because Stargate links to mRNA as well as artificial intelligence. So I'm not going to go into too much detail, but mRNA here, it says in molecular biology, messenger, and then I'm not going to try and pronounce that, is a single-stranded molecule of RNAs that correspond to genetic sequence of a gene and is read by a ribosome in the process of synthesizing a protein. Further down, I'm not going to read all of this, but it makes reference to DNA and altering DNA through mRNA. So what does that mean? Well, it appears that through their satanic agenda, they're going to try and alter humans' DNA, very likely to remove moral conscience, okay, and therefore the right decision making through moral principles, and therefore bring about a sinful earth, or a more sinful earth, shall we say. And this has been a gradual process, I believe, since the Church of Satan, and possibly before, bringing about hell on earth slowly, okay? But we're at the cusp now of either heaven on earth or hell on earth, and that's why the Stargate project is so important in relation to this. So in other words, the mRNA intervention appears to be going to be used to alter humans' DNA to remove potentially moral conscience from humanity, which is there to protect us all by our true creator. So let's look at finally the actual Stargate project by Donald Trump. And here's some articles on the left, news articles, and you can see here's a Guardian article dated the 21st of January 2025. Those of you who don't know what it was, this was the day after Donald Trump became the President of the United States, and he then unveiled plans to pump $500 billion into the Stargate AI project. Okay, and I'd already linked evidence through the research of Donald Trump to Expo Manor, the company that I was removed from by a Fleming, by the Fleming family, which we'll come to in this document. Okay, for refusing to file forged bank documents. Elon Musk is also linked through to that company via his Starlink project. So here's some articles from January 2025 in relation to Stargate project. Now, when you search Stargate Wiki, it comes up with two entries that I found here. One of them, we're going to look at the top one. And look at the date when it was planned, and we're going to come into that in a minute. 2022, the Stargate LLC, okay? Donald Trump's announcement. But there's another one that was established, and we're going to look at this another time, in 1977. That's the year I was born. And I suspect that is no coincidence. I suspect I've been positioned here by our creator to help save humanity in the nick of time. So let's look at Stargate LLC on Wikipedia. Please go and verify this. So Stargate Project Incorporated Delaware as Stargate LLC is an American multinational artificial intelligence joint venture created by OpenAI, SoftBank Oracle, and investment firm MGX. Now, I've looked at these first three, and we're going to look at them in the research as we go through the document. The venture plans on investing up to $500 billion in AI infrastructure in the United States by 2029. Now, I suspect that date ties in with an apocalyptic deception by these people in relation to an asteroid called Apophis. Okay, and we're going to come to that a little bit more in some other videos and other documents. But there was recently an asteroid that was only publicized around the world after I mentioned on a live stream of an apocalyptic event, a deceptive apocalyptic event, potentially being staged by our international governments in 2032, possibly including an asteroid. And then it was all over the newspapers. Well, now that asteroid, now I've called it out, is going to be missing the Earth, according to the latest research. They tried to suggest there was a chance it was going to hit the Earth. Reading on, it says it's been planned since 2022. Stargate, no coincidence. Okay, they were panicking. They realised the fraud is being exposed. They needed to implement their plan. Okay, apocalyptic deception, satanic. Okay, potentially to actually remove people through a staged event and blame it on a natural event. Okay, that has to be considered. Reading on, and it says, and it was formally announced, as I've already said, on January the 21st, 2025, the day after Donald Trump became the president, and it even mentions Donald Trump there. Further on, it says it is named after the 1994 film Stargate. Now, that film came out on the same day of my birthday. Okay? That's no coincidence. And there's a lot of other stuff that relates to it. Further down, just to confirm here, I've mentioned mRNA earlier. It says here, Larry Ellison contended that Stargate could lead to the AI-facilitated production of mRNA vaccines against cancer, and that such vaccines could be designed robotically or be leveraging AI in about 48 hours. Okay, so I suspect what they're going to do is increase cancer across the world to convince people to then have these interventions. That's what I suspect. And I suspect that it will involve, among other things, the masts that they have been rushing to put in place, the mobile communication masts. They've been rushing to put them around the world. They put them up during the lockdowns, but since I've been exposing the fraud, they're rushing to put even more up. Okay, now these are electromagnetic emitting radiation devices, according to the research, which can cause cancer if the energy level is high enough. On the left there, just going into, again, the links to Elon Musk. Okay, so the venture launched with an initial investment of $100 billion with plans to increase it to $500 billion by 2029, date of a potential Apophis potentially hitting the Earth. Elon Musk, CEO of OpenAI's competitor xAI, said that the venture lacked the financing to meet the promised investment levels. This was later denied by Sam Altman, ARM CEO. So there's a link to Elon Musk. And Elon Musk, those of you who don't know, has created the Neuralink. Okay, now I suspect this intervention is going to link in with transhumanism. Okay, which will be the ultimate separation from our creator by humanity. Okay, and then tying in with the revelation where people will seek death but not be able to find it. Well, how do you do that? Well, you trap the human conscience in a body they can't control. So I suspect that's something they are considering. But as I've found, as I'm exposing my evidence, things are changing, and I suspect if I'm accurate enough, it will actually change the course of history and stop this satanic agenda once and for all. But I need you to get behind me and support me in this. So you need to start now. International shutdown. Stop work, stop paying taxes, stop paying all of your bills, everything. You cannot comply to a criminal system. And we can't, I believe now, wait until the 15th because of what the signs that I'm getting. So let's research OpenAI. That's one of the companies that was mentioned, okay? One of those 4 companies. We're going to look at 3 of them. OpenAI UK Limited on the right here on Companies House Records. And it immediately links to the fraud in multiple ways. First of all, the address, 50 Broadway, that already ties in with the research I've done, linking into police-associated companies in the fraud, okay? Now, remember, we've got the Freemasons behind this, who appear to be satanic at the top. This was incorporated on the 21st of September 2022, as I'm making and progressing inquiries within Exmoor Manor Freehold Limited, okay, in relation to the fraud. Further down on the incorporation document, you can see Vistra Kozek Limited. Bit blurry. That says Vistra Kozek Limited. Now that immediately links to Exmoor Manor Freehold Limited, and we're going to show why. So here's Vistra Kozek Limited on the left. This was incorporated in August 2007. That in itself is very likely relevant. It's the same year that Exmoor Manor was created or incorporated, and we're going to come to that in a minute. On the right here, its original name was Jordan Kozek Limited from 2007 until 2019. Okay, so the year that the Exmoor Manor was created until the year of the outbreak. I suspect that's very likely not a coincidence. On the incorporation document for it, you have Jordan's Limited, which is a criminal fraudulent entity company that was created, and we're going to look at that in 1965. Remember, we've already mentioned that date, a year before the first satanic church was founded. On the left here, here's Vistra Limited. Okay, and Vistra Limited was created in 1965. but its first name, as I've just mentioned, was Jordan's and Sons Limited. Here you go, you can see it. So it was created in 1965, the year before this first satanic church was founded, linked to Germany, and then it changed its name 5 years before the World Trade Center disaster, and then changed its name again in 2019, the year of the outbreak in Wuhan. Now, this is fraudulent because, and I'm sorry, many of you heard me say this many times, there's only 3 companies listed. You've got Vistra at the top, or 3 names registered, and you've got Jordan's Limited, and then you've got Jordan's and Sons. But when you go into the incorporation document, so on the right there, I'm just showing, looking in the filing history and where the incorporation document is. You can see 30th of November 1965 is the date. You can see that there's a completely different company name on the document. Name of company, Hammerplag Limited. Now, it's a bit blurred, but you can go and look at it yourself. Hammerplag Limited. Well, that's never been registered on the overview. Okay, so that is a fraudulent criminal organisation. They knew exactly what they were doing. They forged the register against this document. It's a criminal organisation. It should never have been trading. Okay, and just to confirm here, further down on the document, you've got the date, 16th of November, 1965. So they've transferred the correct date, but they've forged the register with the company name. It's criminal. Okay, so that then links back to the AI company that we're looking at. Now, here's Export Manor Freehold Limited, the company that I was removed from, just to confirm it. Again, you can go and look at this. And as I said earlier, it was created in 2007, which ties in with the creation of that last company. On the people records, you can see you have Deborah Fleming from the Fleming family. That's going to become relevant later in this document. And on the right, you've got Anthony Roberts, who is also going to become relevant on the document. And further down, you have me, just to confirm. And you can see here that I was born in 1977, which ties in with the first Stargate company, which I knew nothing about until recently. And then on the right there, you've got Stephen Owens, who was the worked for the management company Owens and Porter, who resigned when I wanted to look at the bank documents and fire-related issues, which again we're going to come into later. Okay, so that there was no fire risk assessment on Export Manor for 3.5 years since the Glenfell Tower, and they refused to talk to me about any of it. Now, on the incorporation documents for Export Manor, you can see we've just looked at Jordan's Limited. Here it is. So it's a criminal fraudulent entity company. Further down on the document, you have the person, or one of the persons that was involved in creating the company, okay, Anthony DeRaya. Now that becomes very important because Sam DeRaya on the right was the assistant chief constable for Dorset Police at the time that I was reporting the fraud in relation to the company. She was also the tactical firearms commander for the Metropolitan Police. Now, Dorset Police confirmed in 2 emails that they were allowing the forged bank documents to be produced and used in circulation. They also supplied sensitive information to prime suspects who I had named and were key to the investigation. Information only Dorset Police knew. This was as my phone was being hacked, emails were being deleted. I had tracking apps popping up on my phone. I was being followed when I was going back to the home address in the middle of the night with my wife, who I now unfortunately know is implicated in this via her family. And then this article shows that Sam DeRaya was moved from Dorset Police. Here's an article confirming she was then working for Hampshire Constabulary. And there's an article on the 5th of July 2023 confirming it. Now, I suspect that she was a relative of Anthony DeRaya. And Anthony DeRaya, according to the information on the accounts I have, which I still have, appeared to have paid nothing into the company's accounts, which meant I have been defrauded. In fact, overall, from 2015 to 2022, there was over £167,000 missing from the company, from others. Now, that's one block of flats. I'll let you work out the maths as to how much this fraud is worth. That's just in relation to management companies. So back to OpenAI UK, you can see OpenAI LLC is in the people record. And this is linked to the United States. And they were appointed in September 2022, again becomes relevant. And when you search that company within Companies House, OpenAI LLC, it comes up with ChatGPT. Now, everyone needs to come away from artificial intelligence. It is a serious threat to humanity. Here's ChatGPT OpenAI. It was created in March 2023, and then it dissolved it in September 2024 as the exposure continues. And on the incorporation document, you have a Chinese address and name. I'm going to end this video in a minute. On the next video, we're going to look at Oracle. Okay, so the second company linking to Donald Trump's Stargate project. Thanks very much for watching.